All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Rakakudash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rokalia from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you with another impromptu lesson. Don't have a title for tonight's lesson as of right now, but I wanted to go into a lesson centered around the healing that Yahweh Shai is not only bringing upon his return, but the healing that Yahweh Shai represents for us right now. Because as it stands, right now our people have a deep-rooted hatred, not only for the Lord, but for themselves as well. And it stemmed from our disobedience ultimately, and it was furthered by the so-called white man who was Esau Edom according to the Bible. And now it's turned into a chronic case of low self-esteem and confidence. And this has plagued our nation for generations, and kept us mentally and spiritually captive. But now that Yahweh Shai has been uplifted through the preaching of this word, through the preaching of the truth, all right, we've received liberation spiritually and mentally, from the bonds that have been placed upon our minds by the enemy. Because one of the curses, according to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, was that the enemy will put a yoke of iron upon our neck until he destroyed us. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and grab that. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve. And matter of fact, let's get some context, right? So when you go up to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, in the first verse, all right, it's going into Moses, and how he's speaking these words unto the nation of Israel. The Lord told him to speak these words unto the nation of Israel. It says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Okay, so the Lord said if we were to be obedient, all right, that blessings would befall our nation. But when you go down to verse 15, all right, it goes into how if we were disobedient, the curses that were written under verse 15, all the way down to 68, all right, will befall our nation and pursue us, all right, as a sign and a wonder. Okay, and one of those curses, going back to the 48th verse, it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. All right, it says basically for the necessities of life. All right, it says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. All right, and at one point in time, you can go and Google, yoke of iron, and one of the first pictures that you'll see is a so-called Negro with an iron chain around his neck, which was prophetic. All right, but the prophecy also said that yoke of iron would stay upon our neck until the enemy destroyed us. All right, which the only reason why we don't walk around here in ball and chains is because the enemy has already accomplished his work, essentially, with the majority of our people. They've already been mentally and spiritually decimated, destroyed. So there is no more need for a yoke of iron. The majority of our people still think that we are free, that we're not captives in this strange land. That since we have the opportunity to work, and to have different so-called luxuries, we are under captivity, which is the furthest thing from the truth. All right, as it says in Baruch 4, all right, we're still subject to payments. All right, letting us know that we're captives. But that yoke of iron, has essentially been removed because our people are already destroyed. And we all came from that destroyed, mindset and point of life at one point in time, until the Lord arose and shine the light of this gospel upon us. And now we understand who we are. And more importantly, we understand who the Lord is, and how the Lord is helping us, through this word. We understand the gospel, that the good news, so to speak, we understand it in its entirety. And we understand that the Lord has given us this gospel to loose those bonds, of the enemy, and to take on the yoke of Yahushua. But I had this video here, which sparked the inspiration for this lesson tonight. It was sent to me today. And it's an interview from Vice. And the title is Genealogist Who Tracks Down Modern Day Slavery Practices. All right, and I'm going to play a couple of minutes of this video. Excuse me. Just so you can see where I'm coming from. Because it's a prime example of the spiritual and mental disease that's still prevalent amongst Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right, now here it is. You have a Jake in this video who basically is still living on a plantation that his forefathers grew up and worked on and died on. And here it is generations later. It's just him and the last descendant of the slave master living on that plot of land. And you will hear how he describes, that slave master. He describes him as his friend, his buddy, and to this day, our people are still looking, toward a nation that ultimately wants no dealings in saving them, wants no dealings in the betterment of the nation of Israel, because the decimation of Israel means that they can uphold their kingdom. This is Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 17. It says, "And as for us, our eyes have as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that cannot save us." And in our watching, before the Lord arose and shined the light of this gospel upon us, we all watched for a nation that couldn't save us. We were going into these different philosophies, going into these different trains of thoughts that were presented to us by our enemies, and ultimately falling, every time by the wayside, until we picked up this mantle of faith, bestowed upon us by Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. We were all falling by the wayside, which is why a part of the gospel, is that this word is a form of liberation, to us who are captive, here in this land, whether it be mental, spiritual, physical. All right, this word is liberation. It's Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 1. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord power is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound." And this is the gospel. All right, this is the good news. This is what Yahushua represents for us. He represents liberty to those of us who are captive. He represents the opening of the prison to those of us who are still bound. He's him that was sent to bind up the brokenhearted. He's the physician, all right, that's coming to cut off that long disease. That is Yahushua, and that's what Yahushua represents to us. That's what our King represents to us: liberation, true liberation. And it's already started now with the liberation of our minds and our spirits, and the transforming of our minds, like it says in Romans the 12th chapter, all right, and the conforming of our minds unto the standard of the Lord. It's already started now. And the physical liberation is going to come when Yahushua returns. But it says to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. All right, and this word was ultimately sent, for us to be uplifted, by this word, for us to be comforted by this word, and also warned by it at the same time. cut by it as well. You know, this word was meant to shape and mold, especially the men, you know, of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, into those capable vessels that are able to be used here in these latter days. You know, this word was sent down to shape and to mold us into those perfect men spoken about in Ephesians, the fourth chapter. All right, perfect according to the faith, perfect according to the standard of the Lord, to the best of our ability. But let me see. Let me see if I want to play this video. Yeah, I'm gonna play a couple of minutes of this video, and then we're gonna grab a couple more precepts, and then we'll close it out. You know, Lord, when it's edifying unto you elect.
My daddy, the whole family, was held against their will. If you did leave, they either come get you or have somebody kill you, whatever. Jerry Dawson, he lived around the same place we lived on. He left, they went and got him, brought him back, carried him right down there from his house, killed him, hung him up in a tree, castorized him and hung him up right from his house where his children, everybody could see him. I'm pretty sure it's 55, 56 when this happened.
Most of us think that the end of the Civil War in 1865 closed the chapter on slavery in the American South, but that's far from the truth. Over the next 100 years, generations of black Southerners were forced to labor against their will. This new form of slavery happened in the shadows of the first half of the 20th century, and even though civil rights movement began advancing racial equality in the South in the 1950s, these practices continued secretly, making it a difficult history to prove. Today, there's one woman who's dedicated her life to finding this lost history of black identity. She's been called the slavery detective of the South.
We're currently in Louisiana, about to meet Antoinette Harrell, who specializes in finding cases of essentially modern-day slavery. We're really deep in the South right now. It's super.
Antoinette was born and raised in Louisiana, and even though she lost her leg to cancer a few years ago, that hasn't slowed her down from what she sees as a mission of justice, tracking down and verifying cases of slavery and abusive labor practices that happened after the Civil War. Sometimes she gets leads from newspaper clippings, old FBI reports, or recorded testimonies, and sometimes she just gets a phone call.
I got scared because I seen how they beat some of the boys. They beat people to death in there.
Mike,
and that's just them complaining of an ungodly father. You know, now that the repercussions are coming down the pipeline, you know, now that Esau is being exposed for who he is, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of, now he wants to, you know, kind of renege on a lot of things that he's done to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the American Indians. You know, but the good thing is, a part of the gospel is that that's not how it works. You know, the Lord said in Galatians, the 6th chapter, whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. And the Lord also likened his judgment unto a ring in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter. So everything always comes full circle, all right? And the so-called white man's judgment is coming full circle. And we're about at the end of that cycle as we speak. And now as we approach the end of that cycle, now you have a lot of Edomites who are coming out and whistleblowing and coming out and speaking against the atrocities that their forefathers committed, trying to, you know, make amends and mend the rift, you know, that their forefathers created in the earth. And it's not working. It's not working. You know, people are seeing this man for who he is and treating him for who he is. You know? And all this apologizing ain't gonna work. You know, ultimately, we seek the vengeance that's coming with Yahweh Shai. All right, like it said in Isaiah 61. All right, to proclaim the day. Let me get it. It's back in Isaiah 61, and verse 2, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn. All right, and that's the day that we yearn for. We yearn for the day of vengeance. You know, where the Lord returns and exacts vengeance on our behalf. for all those who mourn. You know, getting back into it.
Appreciate you not taking this story to the grave with you. I know it hurt. I know it's very painful. And the state of Florida can't pay you all enough. But I'll be in touch with you shortly.
A few of Antoinette's investigations have been used in court cases for reparations, though sometimes the end goal is simply to give people knowledge of their family roots, which for a lot of Black Southerners is something that slavery erased.
Which we understand ultimately, you know, that reparations really ain't nothing without Yahweh Shai. Let me see, let me start this video from here. You know, true reparations are going to come when Yahweh Shai comes to liberate not only us but the world through his power, you know, and present himself to the world as that symbol of peace, that symbol of prosperity. Yahweh Shai is the symbol of prosperity and peace. Upon his return, the world will know war no more. Upon his return, Israel will dwell peaceably. Upon his return, the curses will be uplifted from our nation. Upon Yahweh Shai's return, the commonwealth of the nation of Israel will be established. And that's what Yahweh Shai represents to us. That's just a piece of it. Yahweh Shai is the symbol of light to us, man. And he represents healing. But let's get back into it.
When there used to be a store where people used to sharecrop or work on somebody's land. Do anybody know that story?
Is that how you do a lot of your work, just going out and talking to the community?
Hey, how you doing?
Took us to the Ball Ground Plantation to meet a man named Donald Jeffrey. Donald comes from 5 generations of sharecroppers who worked this same land under the Simrel family. Donald still lives here, along with the last descendant of the Simrel family, a man named Karsten. Today, Donald works full-time on another farm, but still lives rent-free on this plantation and does odd jobs for Karsten. So their living situation is unconventional, to say the least.
Why is Donald so nervous? Like, we're pretty inconspicuous right now,
Because
but
I
wants
don't
us in
think
secrecy.
he wants the boss man to see us here. Hey, Donald.
Hey there, Donald. Nice
How
to
you
meet you.
doing? Hey, good to see you.
My mama's daddy, when they come along in their time, they were sharecropping.
What kind of work was done on this plantation?
Everything fooling with cows, horses, and farming.
What kind of work did your mother do on the plantation?
She mostly did maiden work, did cooking. She told me at 14 years old, she started chopping cotton, and she would leave out the cotton field at 20 minutes to 11 and cook a dinner to have it ready at 12.
Why did you not leave the plantation?
Because it was home to me. And I love it here. It's a beautiful place.
You say you love it here. It's a beautiful place. And on the spiritual aspect, you know, that's the same sentiment that the majority of our people have as well. Whether they express it or not, you know, it's expressed through their actions and through their train of thought. They love the rulership and being under the dominion of Esau Edom. You know, a lot of our people can't think of a domain or a kingdom outside of what's present, and that's because of their deep, that deep sense of low self-esteem. You know, that low confidence that's been deeply embedded in our people, and that hatred, you know, that they have for the Lord and themselves. But all that's changing through the remnant that the Lord has left behind.
And I, just didn't leave. You're responsible for your light bill, but you don't pay no water bill or no rent. So, that's all. It works out.
So what is your relationship to this plantation?
Born and raised here, and Carson, he's almost like a brother to me. We have a real close relationship, a bond.
So there's a brotherhood between you and Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Like family.
Yeah, we are.
You know he lying. You know he lying, just trying to keep quiet. That's that go along, get along spirit, trimming his way to seek love.
Right. We like family, sure is. We like brothers. I can go right there now and spend the night in his house.
All the people that worked on this plantation, he refused to put them off. He would let them stay here.
Yeah, right.
And that's how you end up staying.
That's right. Snake.
Do I feel like he's holding back some things? Yes, I do. But he lives here. And he have to stay here when I'm gone. And I don't want to put anybody's life in jeopardy, you know, because this can happen. I mean, you know, if you're talking about things that people don't want to be told. There's always someone that don't want you to talk about something.
That night, I spoke with Karsten about his family's history on the plantation.
Hey there, Carson.
Hey there, what y'all got going on?
How's it going, man? Akil.
Hey
nice
there.
to meet you.
What
nice
you
to
got
meet
going
you.
on?
Oh, thanks for letting us, showing us around.
Yeah, man. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Come
good to
on
see
inside.
you too. All right, great.
Y'all want anything to eat or anything? Y'all want any beer? Coke, Cola?
It's fine. It's
7-Up, tea?
Oh, that's fine. It's fine. If we could just do a little tour, that'd be amazing, and just
Okay.
to talk a little bit about the history of
All right.
Ball Ground Plantation.
This is my wife, Natalie.
Nice to meet you. And then I would say the Semrel family goes a long way out here.
And you can see the you just see it seeping off of them. Idumea indeed.
Right?
Yes. My family bought this place in 1899. So if I'm the 5th generation.
What is your relationship with Donald?
I don't even remember meeting him. Honest to God, we were childhood friends. No joke. I promise to God.
Are you related to this man right here?
Yes, that is my great-great-great-grandfather.
And what time period is this?
And that shows you the pride he has. Hey, man, it shows you the pride of these devils. You know, for him to have a portrait of his grandfather working in the field, you know, plastered in his house, you know, still to this day. You know, it's fucking madness, you know, without getting too irate. You know, it just shows you the pride of these devils, you know, and it shows you the necessity, you know, for the healing that Yahushua it represents. Because here it is, this man is talking about, you just heard how he said that he sees him and that plantation owner as friends. And here it is, his so-called friend has a portrait of his grandfather or his great-grandfather on his knees working while his father's on a fucking horse. Enough of that video. You can go watch the rest of that if you want to. This is Malachi chapter 4 verse 1. It says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. And he shall go forth and grow up, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the sole of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts." All right, the Lord is going to appear with healing in his wings. Matter of fact, let me get that word for healing. Let me see what that go into. Medicine, which Yahushua is referred to as the physician, you know. A remedy, a sound, wholesome, yielding, a healing, plasticity, deliverance, profit, right? The Lord is coming for our profit. All right, cure. All right, the Lord is coming to cure us. All right, the Lord is coming to cure us, man. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The Lord is coming to cure us like a true physician, not doctor us. The Lord isn't coming to doctor the situation in the planet Earth. The Lord is coming to cure the situation in the planet Earth. And that's why he's referred to as the physician. Who coming to cut it out the long disease. It's Rock 10 and 10. This is Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 5. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth, which is something that the earth has been void of for generations, centuries. All right, and the Lord is coming to be that representation of justice and judgment, that sign of justice and judgment, starting with himself and then the 144,000 governing body under him. In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called the Lord our righteousness. All right. And in those days, Israel is going to dwell peaceably, man. All right. Our people are going to dwell peaceably amongst ourselves. We're going to deal amongst ourselves. We're going to have the commonwealth of the nation of Israel. We're going to go back into being into the Lord's house. We're going to go back into being a nation. We're going to go back into glorifying the Lord in all truth. This is Isaiah 32 and verse 17. It says, and the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and assurance forever. And this is from the Lord, man. Quietness and assurance forever. Which one of the curses was we will have no assurance of our life. So the Lord is coming with assurance forever. It says, and my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. Hey, and that's what we yearn for. That's what we're seeking for. You know, and that's what Yahawashi represents for us right now on a spiritual aspect, you know, on a mental, spiritual, you know, emotional aspect. The Lord represents this unto us. The Lord represents assurance. The Lord represents quietness to us. All right, as it says in 1 Thessalonians, you know, come rest with us, those of you who are troubled. All right, the Lord is our resting place, you know, from this fucking rat race. The Lord is our resting place. He's our central point. All right, the Lord represents a lot for us. The Lord represents a lot for us, man. Which is why the names of the Lord are important to magnify. You know, because through those names, we get assurance. We get quietness. We get rest spiritually. You know, we get comfort. We get fire. We get duty. We get a boost through those names. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man. You know, but with that being said, that's all I had. You know, Lord, when this is edifying us, you elect and want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakakudash, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. Shalom. Stay up.